this Giraffe Talk, we're going to go over another shooting at the White House, a bunch of domestic affairs that got people concerned about corruption in the government, foreign affairs with Iran, China, Taiwan, and the Ukraine. We're going to look at a couple of social media influencers ruining your life, and we're going to take a big, heavy look into foreign billionaires and their manipulations of the United States, in particular, Kevin O'Leary and the Stratos project.
What topics are in the news?
Breaking news. Suspect is still unknown.
Victim remains.
We will explain how it affects you and your expert sources in
The story is still developing. Reports still remain unconfirmed.
They're calling it Kino.
DHS spending bill has passed, and the Democrats did not get their way at all once again. Mamdani has stated that he has balanced the New York City budget. He raised a $12 billion debt. Elon Musk has stated the United States needs to cut out the Social Security and the Medicaid, saying that they're entitlements for the United States. And Vance has announced that they've suspended $1.3 billion in Medicaid already. RFK Jr. has also announced he's detected more and more fraud. This time, Trump's not going to pardon the fraudsters. Mike Johnson took to the stage and pledged to the American public, please allow congressmen and senators to commit insider trading so they can at least feed their families. He said that they'll only make a little bit over $100,000 a year. And that's not nearly enough to support his family. So they need to go wreck the economy, cause unemployment, runaway inflation, so they can go line their pockets a little bit more. And J.D. Vance said that President Trump does not do insider trading. He has other people do it on his behalf. So I guess President Trump is only guilty of conspiracy. But that may be a moot point. Trump has already preemptively pardoned himself and his children from any financial crimes, and he has disbarred the IRS from any inquiries. And Attorney General Blanche has announced that he's going to allocate $1.8 billion to the victims of unfair persecution due to their political affiliation. This includes the January 6th insurrectionists. I guess the official narrative is that they're no longer Democrats or Antifa or FBI agent provocateurs. They were just patriots trying to overthrow a democratic election and injure over 100 police officers. Trump has teased the release of more alien documents. And once again, his new batch looks like a bunch of bullshit. A $72 billion funding package for ICE has been proposed. And $1 billion may go to President Trump's dream ballroom. The Justice Department said they're going to strip even more citizenships. And Trump said that the whole concept of birthright citizenship is a disgrace. Now, birthright citizenship was repealed. This would mean that pretty much every U.S. citizen will have to reapply for citizenship. The redistricting wars continue, and Virginia's plan for redistricting has been struck down. Now, Louisiana's plan for redistricting has been approved. And if you ask me, why don't we leave it for the cartographers? Thomas Macy has lost the primaries to Ed Galvin, who is an ex-Navy SEAL and a minion for Pete Hegseth. This was one of the most costly primary campaigns of U.S. history, and this $32 million that was spent on it comes from AIPAC, Republican donors, and possibly Trump himself. CISA's digital keys have been found online on GitHub. Tulsi Gabbard has resigned due to her husband suffering from cancer, said that she wanted to spend more time with her family. FISA 702 has passed. Now this bill allows the U.S. government to spy on the citizens even more than they were before. And with the rollout of flock cameras, it looks like we're going to be under government surveillance for anything. There's another shooting at the White House lawn. So far, from what reports indicate, only one person got shot and he died, and that was the shooters. But this, along with the shooting 2 weeks ago, the East Wing being demolished, and the White House having a hole in the side of it, President Trump trying to get a USC fight in the front lawn. Is the White House ghetto? Now let's look at what's going on with the FBI. Kash Patel is under scrutiny for his lavish vacations, snorkeling in Pearl Harbor, drinking shitloads of alcohol. Kash Patel had to testify in front of Congress. He challenged Congressman Van Halen to an alcohol test, and has stated he doesn't even know if lying to Congress is illegal. Kash Patel has also struck back against his employees, trying to see who's leaking this information out to the public and trying to see who's stealing his alcohol. The FBI has also announced a $200,000 reward for any information regarding the arrest of Monica El Freed, who has defected from the United States to help out Iran. Now, does this have anything to do with the Iranian military knowing where to strike to kill U.S. servicemen? Well, not really. It turns out that information is from Russia. Californian Mayor Eileen Wong has pled guilty to the accusations of being a Chinese spy. Chuck the Builder has been arrested for attempted murder. Now, Chuck the Builder's main premise is that he hassles people, tries to trigger libtards, and if they roll up on him, if they raise their fist, he pulls a gun on them. And, well, he ended up shooting somebody. Clavicula has appeared in court, and he got mocked by the judge. Speaking of mocking, Trump has met with the Chinese Prime Minister Xi Jinping, and he himself got hype mobbed. After the meeting with Jinping, China has agreed to buy U.S. agricultural products, U.S. poultry, U.S. beef, and to repay them for that, the United States has agreed to halt weapon sales to Taiwan. Now China said that they're going to take Taiwan no matter what, but Taiwan has declared sovereignty and declared independence once again, and Trump said, hey, you better watch your fucking mouth. This isn't without precedence. It's similar to how Trump decided he was not going to help out Ukraine as much. He was going to give Afghanistan to Taliban. After this, Putin also met with Jinping, fueling rumors that Trump, Jinping, and Putin are all working together to go against the International Crimes Court and eliminate the concept of war crimes. This may have been triggered after the ICC has voted to indict Putin because of his actions in Ukraine. Now let's go look a little bit more at what's going on in Ukraine. They've launched a massive drone attack on Moscow. Lukashenko said that Belarus is ready to help out Russia in their war efforts against Eastern Europe. Pete Hegseth has pulled troops from Poland, shocking the Pentagon. Trump has claimed to have plans to withdraw United States forces from Germany, Spain, and Italy. Spain has called for the European Union to come together and make their own military force. CIA agent Ratcliffe has met with Cuban officials, then left saying that we need to indict Raul Castro. I guess that means that a United States boat that got shot up near the coast of Cuba really was filled with CIA agents after all. So what's happening in Iran? Trump has vowed to take Iran's uranium. He's also said that we have a total military victory over Iran. And Hegseth backed him up, saying that the military conflict in Iran and what's going on in Strait of Hormuz, two whole different conflicts. The Democrats try to rein in Trump's war powers in regards to Iran, and John Fetterman broke ranks with the Democrats once again to vote against that act. And Trump has stated that he's going to postpone attacks on Iran, on the desalination plants, on bridges, on energy infrastructure because of the pleas from the leaders of Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. Currently, Israel gets $3.8 billion yearly from the United States for their military budget. But Netanyahu said he's going to phase out the United States support. The main hot topic I want to focus on today's Giraffe is the massive AI data center being built in Utah. Kevin O'Leary is one of the main investors in the controversial project Stratos. So who exactly is Kevin O'Leary? How does he have such a pull to the United States government? What is Project Stratos? So what's Kevin O'Leary's career like in the world of business, in the world of media, and in the world of politics? Is Kevin O'Leary a shrewd genius businessman or just a fucking dumbass? Or is he a vampiric Canadian parasite trying to enrich himself on a dime of the United States taxpayer? I guess I have to take a look into the life of Kevin O'Leary. This is Giraffe TV.
Kevin O'Leary.
Terrence Thomas Kevin O'Leary is a famous reality TV star, a businessman, a dude who wears flip-flops with suits, pink slippers with a suit. Dude, bro, my boy, my guy, my boy. I'm not a fashionista, but there's no way he thought this was hard. There's no way he thought this was drip. Like, you know what's cold as fuck? A suit with pink slippers. Sorry guys, I'm just getting really heated over this. An author, an investor, a retired politician, and a famous movie star and actor. And he is currently a member of the ARHT's Media's Board of Advisors. O'Leary's a Catholic and was a liberal until 2004, and now he's a staunch conservative, mainly for economic reasons. He's been married to his wife Linda since 1990, and they have two children, Trevor and Savannah. They did separate for 2 years in 2011, but eventually got back together. He said it was because he didn't take enough time for his marriage. He was focused too much on his career. He has homes in Miami Beach, Toronto, Muskoka, Ontario, Boston, and Geneva, Switzerland. O'Leary has dyslexia, and he said it kind of helped him out with business, made him think outside of the box. Big fan of the New England Patriots, wine, watches, and photography. In addition to his native Canadian citizenship, he's also a citizen of Ireland and has become an Emirati citizen because he wanted to do business with the United Arab Emirates. Now, although he could definitely afford the $1 million Trump gold card for citizenship, he has declined this opportunity and is not an American citizen. Let's look at Kevin O'Leary's early life, see what made him the man he is today. He was born on July 9th of 1954 in Montreal, Quebec. His mother was a woman of Lebanese descent, a small business owner named Georgette. His father was a salesman of Irish descent. Him and his brother grew up in Mount Royal in Quebec. His parents divorced early on, largely due to his father being a goddamn alcoholic. He died shortly after that, when O'Leary was only 7 years old. After his father's death, his mother ran a family clothing business as an executive and was a skilled investor. His mother later married an economicist, Joyce Kanawati, who worked for the UN's International Labour Organization. They would frequently move to places like Cambodia, Cyprus, Ethiopia, and Tunisia. O'Leary attended Stan Steve College and St. George's School, both found in Quebec. Kevin O'Leary aspired to be a photographer, but his stepdad advised him to look into investing in business. Received an honors bachelor's degree in environmental studies and psychology from the University of Waterloo in 1977 and an MBA in entrepreneurship from Ivy Business School at the University of Western Ontario in 1980. So this is around the time he started his business career. You're watching Giraffe Talk. In 1978, O'Leary got an internship in Nabisco, located in downtown Toronto, and he was an assistant brand manager for Nabisco's cat food products. O'Leary said this was when he really honed his marketing skills. After Nabisco, he had a brief career as a TV producer, co-founded the special event television that focused on sports programming. They did have some success, and one of his partners bought out his share. This would give Kevin O'Leary time to focus on funding his own brand, Softkey, which he started in 1986 with his partners, John Freeman and Gary Babcock. They would publish and distribute software for Windows and Macintosh. He would fund this with his shares from the SET and about $10,000 he got from his mommy. O'Leary would convince printer manufacturers to bundle the Softkey software with their products. The software will focus on mathematics and reading education and would be packaged with freeware and shareware games. By 1993, they became a major player in the global education market. Softkey would then acquire some of their competitors, such as Compton's New Media, Broderbond, and The Learning Channel. The Learning Channel cost them about $606 million to acquire, but it was considered a pretty solid investment, and they would move their business to Cambridge, Massachusetts. In '98, TLC would lose $105 million on an $800 million revenue. And this is already after suffering steady losses over the last 2 years. And on top of that, they bought Broderbond for about $416 million. So in 1999, TLC was acquired by Mattel for about $4.2 billion, and O'Leary himself will make about $6 million for this business exchange. This would prove to be one of the most disastrous business accusations in modern history, and they would see their sales and their earnings sharply decline. They projected a profit of $50 million and lost $105 million. Now this isn't a typo. O'Leary lost another $105 million. $3 billion in shareholders' value was eliminated in one fucking day. And this resulted in O'Leary finally being fired. O'Leary was then targeted by multiple lawsuits, including a class action lawsuit by the shareholders. And Mattel had to pay $122 million to settle the claim in 2003. O'Leary said it wasn't really his fault. He blamed the technology, he blamed the culture clash. Canadians and Americans have trouble working together. After this, O'Leary would try to acquire Atari, but basically got told to fuck off. So he'd move on to Storage Now Holdings. In 2003, O'Leary became the co-investor and corporate director of the Canadian company Storage Now Holdings, which would become the largest operator of storage services in Canada. It was then acquired by Storage Rit in March of 2007 for $110 million. O'Leary would later sell his shares at $4.5 million, which he acquired for $500,000. So he's finally getting a profit, he's finally doing something correct. And that was keeping his hands out of managing. But his operating partner, Wheeler, would file a lawsuit for $10 million for wrongful dismissal. This was eventually settled out of court. So O'Leary's probably fucking broke again. But in the same month, O'Leary would join the advisory board for Gene Star Capital. This is a private equity firm that focuses on investing in healthcare, industrial technologies, business services, and software. He would then be appointed to the Strategic Advisor Board and would seek new investment opportunities for their $1.2 billion fund. Now, O'Leary would learn of his mother's investing skills in 2008 after she unfortunately passed away and he inherited her fortune. Kevin O'Leary would co-found O'Leary Funds Incorporated with his brother Shane O'Leary. It was a mutual fund management firm which focused on global yield investing. Kevin would be the chairman and the lead investor, and his brother Shane O'Leary would serve as a director. The assets grown from $400 million to $1.2 billion in just 1 year. Then it would drop down to $800 million, but this wasn't his fault. There's a lot of weird flux going on in the economy, and in November 2014, O'Leary Funds Incorporated agreed to pay the penalties to the authorities marching financiers for violating certain technical provisions found in the Securities Act. Kevin O'Leary would then sell O'Leary Funds Incorporated to Canoe Financial on October 15, 2015. Kevin O'Leary would also fund O'Leary Mortgage, which is now closed, O'Leary Books, O'Leary Fine Wine, and O'Leary Ventures. And all of these would have a questionable investment history and would decrease their value by about 20% per every year. Now let's look at ETF and investing. So O'Leary always advocated investing your funds, diversifying your means of income. I guess he was a Wu-Tang guy. July 14th of 2015, O'Leary launched the Exchange Trade Fund through O'Shares Investments, which was a division of his investment fund, O'Leary Funds Management LP, which O'Leary served as a chairman. O'Leary is also a gold investor, with about 5% of his portfolio invested in it. But he said he won't invest in gold mining company stocks. Now let's look at his involvement with cryptocurrency. At first, O'Leary's kind of skeptical of cryptocurrency. He said it's not really based on anything, it's too volatile to invest, calling it a worthless excuse for a currency. Now he advocates it and owns coins in Ether, A4M, Ethereum blockchain, Polygon, SOL, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. In 2021, he said a 3 to 5% allocation to Bitcoin and invested in DeFi Venture, which was renamed to Wonderfy Technologies. So what was this all? Was it a scam to prevent people from investing, hopping on a train early? Or did he really just not know the value of crypto coin? In August of 2021, O'Leary be granted an ownership stake and be paid about $15 million in the parent companies of FTX.com and FTX.US for a spokesman role. Now you remember this because in the news they plastered these ugly mugs all over the fucking place. One guy looked like a subhuman basement driller. This woman looked like a fucking mouse. Now the CEO, Sam Bankman-Fried, would be under fire, would be accused of using the client's funds to make speculative bets that all ended in disaster. And upon learning this, the Binance CEO, Changpeng Zhao, will withdraw his investment, sell his stocks. And that led a spike in customers withdrawing their funds and tank the entire fucking company. And then O'Leary will lose about $1 million in equity, and FTX went bankrupt. In November 2022, O'Leary and other spokespeople from FTX will be the subject of a class action lawsuit for fraud. Now O'Leary claimed he was just ignorant, he didn't know what was going to happen. But that's no excuse from the law. You can still be sued for promoting a fraudulent crypto coin. O'Leary would claim he lost about $9.7 million in digital assets, fees, and taxes, which once again resulted in him being a broke bitch. You're watching Giraffe TV. Now let's look at some of his forays into the media. Most of us probably know him from Dragon's Den and Shark Tank, where people present a product and they'll see if they want to invest in it. He had a persona as a blunt, abrasive, and domineering venture capitalist. All of his investments be consolidated, presided, and managed under his company, Something Wonderful. In 2008, O'Leary would work as a co-host for Discovery Channel's Project Earth. It was a show that explored innovative ways to reverse climate change. Now how does this affect Project Stratos? It doesn't. Turns out he learned nothing at all. Now let's look at the Lang and O'Leary exchange. In 2009, O'Leary started a show with Amanda Lang, a journalist, on CBC's News Network. Had a couple controversial exchanges. Called Pulitzer Prize winner Chris Hedge a left-wing nutball for supporting Occupy Wall Street. Now Occupy Wall Street kind of sucked because they had no real goal in mind. So what were they trying to achieve? And in 2014, he claimed that redistributing the wealth never worked. And it was the communist ideal, and it would turn us into China, it would turn us into North Korea or Soviet Russia. And instead, the rich people should take as much money as they can, and the bottom 99% should aspire to be like the top 1%. And that's what makes the country great. And he mentioned that extreme poverty has been reduced from 42% to 17%. And that kind of rubbed the people the wrong way, because it turns out trickle-down economics doesn't really work. And the rich people kind of just hold on to the money forever. He would also work with BNN and CNBC on numerous other projects. In 2012, he worked on a reality TV show, Redemption Incorporated, and it depicted 10 ex-convicts competing for his favor to see which business O'Leary would want to invest in. And hopefully for all these ex-convicts, O'Leary does not pick their business. On September 1st of 2014, he returned to the Discovery Channel to help out with numerous radio and TV programs. On May 5th of 2015, Larry made a guest appearance on Celebrity Jeopardy and dispelled all notions and changed everybody's perspective on his level of intelligence. He finished in third place and had negative points after both Double Jeopardy and the Final Jeopardy rounds. In September of 2015, he would appear as a celebrity judge in the 95th Miss American pageant. In 2018, O'Leary started hosting a podcast called Ask Mr. Wonderful. It lasted about 7 episodes. He took a year-long break and then hopped back into it. And he would also star in the 2021 show Money Court, where he served as an adjudicator for various cases involving finances. Kevin O'Leary also authored a number of books, including the Cold Hard Truth series and Digital Pivot or Bust in a post-COVID-19 world. Why small businesses must rethink everything to survive and thrive.
This is a Giraffe production.
Career in politics.
Now let's look at Kevin O'Leary's political career. January of 2016, O'Leary promised to invest $1 million in the Bureau's economy for the resignation of Premier Rachel Notley. A month later, O'Leary would appear with 4 other potential candidates at the Conference for Federal Conservatives and gave a speech titled, "If I Run, This Is How." And he would predict that a liberal government would bankrupt the entire nation in just 4 years. He then began to attend politically conservative parties in Canada over the next few months, fueling speculation that he might run. And he also said that he's taking classes to learn French in time for the next election. But this fueled his speculation was Kevin O'Leary running for prime minister, and he was doing great in the polls. But then on January 18th of 2017, O'Leary would officially enter the political race. He would drop out on April 26th, stating that he thinks it would be too hard for him to beat Trudeau in the elections, so he should just give it up for somebody else who has a better chance of beating him. And he would support Berner, who would narrowly lose to Andrew Scheer. Now, what are his political positions? Well, O'Leary said he supports Trump even over his own Prime Minister Trudeau, and has criticized Harris over her corporate tax plan. He's also defended Donald Trump's bank fraud, saying everyone does it and it's a victimless crime. O'Leary also said he supports the United States plan to invade Canada, thinking about the economic opportunities and how much money he could leech off of the United States citizens. Now, when it comes to economy and trade, O'Leary supports the multilateral free trade agreements, such as NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement. O'Leary supports the Trump's tariffs and says that there should be more like 400% on China. He claims that corporate taxes have killed thousands of jobs. He wants to eliminate carbon tax, and he said that provinces that do not support his plans should have their transfer payments withheld. So how does this play into his environmental degree that he got way back in the 70s? Well, it fucking doesn't. He learned nothing. When it comes to labor rights, O'Leary says that employees need to be forced to respond to work-related communications after hours. And that if you are against Israel killing civilians, companies need to use AI to get all your information and then blacklist you from entire industries. You should be forced to be homeless for being against Israel committing genocide. When it comes to energy, he said he wants Canada to be energy independent from Saudi Arabia and focus on their own natural oil deposits. He considers himself to be socially liberal. He supports the legalization and regulation of marijuana, supports same-sex marriages, and is pro-euthanasia. O'Leary said he's against Canada performing airstrikes on ISIS, and it should focus more on defense, particularly around the border. He claims that Russia is neither a friend or a foe to Canada, and he both supports increasing military spending and denounces increasing military spending. I guess you gotta get him on the right day of the week. On the topics of immigration, O'Leary said he supports fast-tracking citizenship for immigrants with degrees that are looking for jobs, but we need a tighter border security for Canada. I guess he got to prevent the dangerous Americans from gaining access to Canada. When it comes to politics and law, O'Leary stated that senators should pay money to become a senator, which I guess stops poor people from running for political office, and this would generate revenue for Canada. O'Leary also said that there shouldn't be a $25,000 limit on the money that he spends for his own campaign. This might discourage rich people from running for office. You can't spend all your money on your campaign, then what's the point? And he said not allowing him to do that is limiting his freedom of expression. And he also said him facing jail time for any laws he breaks is a violation of his freedom of security to the person.
This is Giraffe TV.
Mr. Wonderful.
Now, where does his name Mr. Wonderful come from? At first he claimed that it was from his co-star Barbara from the Shark Tank. It was a sarcastic comment that she made. But he also got called that in the Dragon's Den. But he also got called that beforehand. He eventually said that it was a public consensus that everybody should call him Mr. Wonderful. And I'm starting to think he made that nickname up for himself, and that's the lamest thing ever.
This is Giraffe.
Voting accident.
On August 24th of 2019, O'Leary and his wife Linda were involved in a boating accident that caused 2 fatalities. One was a 64-year-old man, and the other was a 49-year-old woman who were driving a boat without navigation lights at night. So a lot of people like to give Kevin O'Leary some heat for that, but I think that's kind of unfair. He didn't fucking see that dude. Driving out on the lake at night with no lights, it's like pitch black. I can't really blame the guy.
You're watching Giraffe TV.
Project Stratos.
Now, O'Leary's newest controversy is his involvement in Project Stratos. On April of 2026, O'Leary announced a joint venture between O'Leary Digital and Utah's Military Installation Development Authority. And their plan was to construct a large data center and energy infrastructure, Box Elder County of Utah. It would span about 40,000 acres, which is twice the size of fucking Manhattan. And it would span across multiple sites in the arid region north of the Great Salt Lake. It would consume about 9 gigawatts of electricity, more than double the entire state of Utah's current energy consumption. Now imagine 23 Hiroshima-sized nukes going off every day. That's about how much heat would come off of this facility. Now O'Leary said he understands why we're concerned about his energy consumption, so it's going to work off grid and tap into the natural gas supply of the Ruby pipeline. Now is this true? Hopefully. Is this still going to affect the citizens of Utah? Probably. Is this going to be a huge environmental disaster? Definitely. Is this taking into account that the AI bubble is probably going to bust? Not at all. And can you even imagine how big 40,000 acres is? No, you can't. I can't. Let's look at some other incidents. Lake Tahoe's residents got informed that in about a year they're not going to get any fucking electricity. All the local companies are going to focus on providing energy for data centers. Although data centers say they have a closed system for the water supply, it's been pretty much proven to be false. A lot of people have mentioned that the water quality has decreased. The energy prices went up, the water prices went up, and the Salem Township of Michigan even voted against getting a data center in the area, and they pretty much got told to kick rocks, and they built one any fucking way. So yeah, on May 4th of 2026, the Box Elder County officials greenlit the project. And on May 12th, O'Leary would accuse 2 people from a non-profit Utah-based organization, Elevate Utah, of being Chinese spies. He said this is the only reason why they'd be against a massive data center, and that they're going to have more of an efficient energy infrastructure. They're against better energy for the citizens of the United States. And O'Leary would accuse them of being Chinese spies. He said he's dug deep for this information, but he can't show us it. We just gotta take his word for it. His sources are, trust me, bro. Now, you may be thinking this is libel. It's not. It's slander. Now this rubs me the wrong way because I can't stand a fucking foreigner doing business in the country and going after the citizens, harming us, leeching off of us, and then accusing US citizens of not being patriotic. Like, dude, you don't get a fucking say in this country. You don't get to say what American is or isn't an American, okay?
You're watching a Giraffe production.
The world is a dark and uncertain place.
Does Kevin O'Leary have the best interest of Americans at heart? And if this AI data center causes no problems, why hasn't he built this monstrosity in Canada? Why has the government deemed it a taxpayer's duty to pay for the electricity of these data centers? Is this a part of Dark Enlightenment's plan to force Americans into poverty, to make them live in company towns, and to replace the labor force with automation? How does Kevin O'Leary look like the villain from every Christmas movie? Is Kevin O'Leary a shrewd, genius businessman? Is he a fraudulent, foreign scammer? Or just an absolute dumbass that's only made it this far due to luck and mommy and daddy's money? Kevin O'Leary called himself a vampire because he's a Canadian businessman who leeches off of the American economy, but he did earn several degrees and one with honors. But this was in the 70s. And Kevin O'Leary is dyslexic. So did he really earn those degrees? If we look at his performance in Celebrity Jeopardy, the guy's an absolute moron. So is Kevin O'Leary earning a degree? Kevin O'Leary's academic achievements a testament to his willpower, to his intelligence, and to his hard work? Or is it just a testament to mommy and daddy's pocketbooks? And if Kevin O'Leary is a genius, why do all of his companies and businesses fail? And why the fuck does he think pink flip-flops go hard with a suit? Is he just a discount Canadian Trump with Project Stratos fail like everything else he touches? And most of all, why does this Canadian think he has a say in what the United States does? Why do all of these foreign billionaires think they got a say in how the United States operates? Who the fuck do they think they are? TLC, the Mattel merger, O'Leary Funds, O'Leary Ventures, FTX, pink slippers with a suit, the multitude of lawsuits, a history of L's. Will Project Stratos be any different? No.